right, so we already know how to name an angle and we know how to measure an angle. So now we need to learn how to draw an angle. When you measure an angle, you have to make sure that the center of your protractor was on the vertex of your angle. So we need to make sure we have a line that we can use to draw our angle from. Once we have a plane line, we can decide if we want this side to be our vertex or this side to be our vertex. It doesn't matter, and I'll show you both. They're both correct. If I'm choosing this side to be my vertex and I want to draw an angle of 60 degrees, I need to make sure that my vertex and the center of my protractor meet up. So I'm going to do that, and you have to make sure that it is exact. And if you remember our little story about Laurie the protractor, where we said left hand side is the outer scale, right hand side is the inner scale, you will know that we are on the right hand side, which means we are using our inner scale of our protractor. And what I want is a 60-degree angle. So I'm going to start at 0 on my inner scale, and I'm going to count all the way until I reach 60. So we go 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. When I get to 60, I just need to put a little dot by the 60-degree mark. Once I've put my dot there, I remove my protractor, and we're going to play a little game of connect the dots. So I have my vertex and I have a dot. All we have to do is use the straight part of our protractor to join the two dots together. That is how you draw an angle. But what's important is that you don't forget to label your angle. I have asked you for a 60-degree angle, which means that this vertex needs to say that my angle is 60 degrees. Okay, I'm going to show you how to draw the exact same angle using the other side of your scale. So we start off with a straight line. For this one, I chose the left-hand side to be my vertex. For this one, I'm going to choose my right-hand side to be my vertex. And remember, when we measure an angle or when we draw an angle, our vertex has to meet up with the center point of our protractor. So I'm going to put my center point exactly on my vertex. Once I have it on my vertex, we can see that we have to work with the outer scale of our protractor because we are on the left-hand side. And to get to 60 degrees, we start at 0 on the outer scale and we go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. When we reach 60 degrees, we put a little dot. Once we've drawn our dot, we need to play a little game of connect the dots. And we're going to connect the dot from our vertex to the dot that we have just drawn. Finish it off with an arrow because our two lines are actually never ending. So I could carry that line all the way over and this line all the way that way if I wanted to. But again, I've asked for a 60-degree angle. So you need to make sure to tell me that the angle where your two lines meet is 60 degrees. What you can actually do as well is to label your angle, to name it. So if they don't tell you what it is named, you can name your angle A, B, C if you want to. You can name it PQR, you can name it STU, whatever works for you, but you should always name your angles. All right, let's try another one. I want to draw an angle that is 110 degrees. What we know about an angle that's 110 degrees is that it's bigger than 90 degrees, but it is smaller than 180 degrees, which makes it an obtuse angle. So you should be able to know from your drawing whether you have done it correctly. If you accidentally draw a very little angle and it looks acute, then you know that it is not the right drawing. So to start drawing our angle, we start off with a straight line. Once we have our straight line, we choose which side we want to use as our vertex. I'm going to choose the right-hand side as my vertex, which means that my vertex and the center of my protractor need to match up. That means that my line is pointing to the left-hand side, and because Laurie the protractor tells us that left-hand side is outer scale, we start at the outer 0 and we go all the way around until we reach 110 degrees. When we get to 110 degrees, we put a dot, we remove our protractor, and we play a game of connect the dots. Once we have connected that dot, we can see that this angle is bigger than a 90-degree angle, which means that it is an obtuse angle, and 110 degrees is an obtuse angle. All we have to do is label our angle, and then we are finished. Okay, let's try the same one using the right-hand side of the scale. We draw our straight line. We put our little dot as our vertex, and from the vertex we now need to measure 110 degrees. Our vertex and center point of our protractor need to meet up. We are on the right hand side, so we need to use our inner scale. Remember, Laurie, right hand side is inner. So from our inner scale we go from 0 all the way around until we reach 110. When we get to 110, we put a dot. We remove our protractor and we play connect the dots. Once we have connected the dots, we label our angle, which is 110 degrees, and we're going to call this one PQR because we didn't get told exactly what it needs to be named, so we can choose a name ourselves.